had dismounted to take a closer look at the body.
"Tire tracks and footprints will be a problem," Phil said. "Could it be Samantha Lyle?"
Seth asked. The 21-year-old waitress had gone missing after an argument with her boyfriend 2 months before. The most common hypothesis in the sheriff's office was that her boyfriend had killed her but had been clever about disposing of her body.
"I doubt it," Phil said. "This woman hasn't been dead long."
They approached the huddle of uniforms at the edge of the trees. Seth signed in with the deputy in charge of the logbook. Then he and Phil ducked under the yellow crime scene tape strung between the trees. People parted to give them room. A deputy was snapping pictures of the body from varying angles and distances. The Rogue County medical examiner crouched next to the remains, a folded black body bag and his field kit on the ground within reach. Seth's gaze dropped to the victim. Damn. Barely 10 feet into the winter bare woods, she lay face down in the dirt under the spreading branches of an evergreen. A red jacket and a thin layer of snow made her look like an obscene package stuffed under a Christmas tree. Dead leaves and twigs matted long, dark hair that reminded Seth far too much of his wife. The gender of his victim shouldn't make a difference, but it did to Seth. Violent crime always felt more offensive when women or children were involved.
"Hank!"
Seth called to the ME. Hank, 60-ish and built like Santa, glanced over his shoulder. Just under the band of a navy blue knit cap, a snowflake stuck to one bushy black and gray eyebrow.
"There you are, Seth. Been waiting for you. I appreciate that."
A vague sense of disquiet fell over Seth as he studied the victim. She was petite. Her body and clothing looked youthful. Snow dusted the back of her head, jacket, and jeans, indicating she'd been on the ground before or during the previous night's light snowfall. There was something about her that was raising the hairs on the back of Seth's neck. Something he couldn't quite pinpoint, but instinctively knew was important. What is it?
"What can you tell me?"
he asked the ME.
"She's fresh."
Hank waved toward her torso.
"I'll give you a tighter window after the autopsy, but it appears she's been dead less than 12 hours, but probably more than 6.
Seth did the math in his head.
So she died between 8 o'clock last night and 2 o'clock this morning.
The estimate correlated with the previous night's weather. The storm had started around 10, and light snow had fallen on and off until dawn, with some flurries since.
"Any identification on the body?"
Hank shook his head.
"Her pockets are empty, except for a chapstick and a lollipop in her jacket. No sign of a purse yet,"
Phil said. Hank shifted his soft bulk and lifted her hair. Bruises circled her neck.
"Manual strangulation is a strong contender for cause of death."
Seth leaned in to examine her hands.
"Looks like she resisted. She has a couple of broken nails. Let's hope she got a chunk of DNA under one of them."
Straightening, he took in the empty area. Except for the 3 boys, there was no one in sight but law enforcement personnel. Whoever dumped her had probably assumed the park would be empty. The boat ramp didn't get much use this time of year. If the teens hadn't been so pumped up to do donuts in the snow, weeks could have passed before anyone made the gruesome discovery.
"Was she killed here?"
Seth asked. Hank lifted the hem of her jacket and pointed to purple stains that colored the skin close to where it rested on the ground.
"From what I can see, lividity suggests she's been in this position since she died."
When the heart stopped pumping, blood settled in the lowest parts of the body and turned the skin purple.
"If she wasn't killed in this location, she was dumped here soon after death." "When can you do the autopsy?" Seth asked. "I'll try to get it done today."
Hank looked up at the photographer.
"Are you finished with the preliminary pictures?"
The cop nodded.
"Then let's get her to the morgue."
Hank unfolded the body bag next